All right. Looks like we're live. Welcome to today's stream, everyone. Myself and Oliver Simon of Tezos Commons are going to be hosting today's show. Our guest of the hour is Henri from Wakam. Henri and Oliver,
Hello.
how's it going?
Great, glad to be here.
Awesome.
Same. Everything good.
All right, before we kick this off, I'd like to mention that we'll be having another Tezos branded Ledger NanoS hardware wallet device giveaway. And to participate, all you have to do is wait for the announcement of a keyword and put that keyword into the chat. And we'll be choosing a random winner and announce that during the show. And we wish you good luck.
Yep, definitely stick around for that. So I guess we can just go ahead and take it off here. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your background, Henri?
Sure. So I'm Henri. I'm French. I have a background in engineering and business. And after school, I wanted to live a bit abroad, and I started working for a French software company that was selling software to service providers in the Americas. So I worked for them in Brazil and in the US. About at the same time, I started really getting into Bitcoin, mostly Bitcoin at the time, and Ethereum, studying about it. I mined a bit for a while. I didn't mine Bitcoin. I mined Doge. I mined the script, so I mined Doge and Litecoin and stuff like that. I used to let them run in my living room, and my girlfriend, who's my wife now, used to say, "Oh, these are in French she would say the machine infernale, so the hellish machine." Anyway, and so when I came back to France, I decided to try to work a bit on this technology, especially because at the time everybody was talking about blockchain and stuff, and not many people were actually understanding how it works, what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, and stuff like that. And so I worked for about a year and a half for a French mutual insurance company, and we were working on how to create systems that basically make you able to create an insurance product and have the people who subscribe to the insurance product be a part of the governance of the insurance product, because that's how mutuals work in France. Basically, you're not a customer to a mutual, you're a member, so you get a say in how things work in the mutual. And so we designed smart contracts and dApps to do just that. And then after that, I joined Wakam, and I've been there for about 2 years. And at Wakam, I was mostly in charge of. I was in charge of working with everything about blockchain. So we have a few projects where the technology comes up, and I'll talk a bit about Wakam and what we do later. But I've been working on all of these projects, and mostly I've been working on our production tool, where we basically operate a whole set of our insurance policies on an information system, and the underlying persistence layer is a blockchain. So we designed the smart contracts and all the components that make us able to operate an insurance OS on a blockchain. And to say a few words about Wakam, we're a French insurance company. We've been working with blockchain for at least 4 years. And if you're French or even European, we have probably already insured you at some point, but you didn't notice. Because we're not a B2C company, we're a B2B2C, which means that we sell insurance products to partners who then sell them to their consumers. And so, for example, there's this conference in Paris called HCC, and if you get insured on the cancellation of the event, well, you're insured by us, technically. Yeah, that's about what we do at Wakam.
Awesome, Henri. Speaking or diving a little bit deeper into your blockchain journey, do you want to go a little bit into detail how you stumbled upon Tezos specifically?
Sure. So, I think I heard about Tezos at the time of the ICO. I was not following that much all the ICOs, but I heard of the fundraiser of Tezos, and then I didn't hear much for a while. But then when we were working at Wakam on integrating this technology, so a year or year and a half ago, we started having new projects that required expertise, and then when you do these kind of projects, what really matters is as much the technology as the partner you're developing this project with. And we started seeing a lot of people talking a lot about Tezos, getting involved into it. And so we dug a bit into it. I went to a few Tezos workshops, which were organized in Paris, learn how the technology work. And then we started interacting a bit more with a company called Nomadic Labs, who is a French company working on Tezos technology, and yeah, that's how we got involved initially in Tezos, and then moving on to some projects. We started collaborating with them a bit more. We started seeing areas of interest, of mutual interest, and eventually our CEO joined the Tezos Foundation. So now he's a member of the Tezos Foundation. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure I was super clear.
Oh yeah, of course.
Good.
I think it kind of transitions into the next question that I have, which is, do you want to share a little bit about the process of a corporate entity, being interested in a public blockchain like Tezos, and really kind of just like how that entire project process looks like getting started?
Yeah, sorry. So, I can't speak for all public entities. I can't speak for all public companies and public entities. I can speak as an insurance company, right?
Of course.
So if you go from the very basic postulate that blockchains are to moving value what internet is to moving information, then you start. I'm sorry, just give me a second.
No worries.
It's a bit loud, and I'm sorry. I'm just going to wait for it.
No worries.
Right. Sorry about that. Okay. So basically, as an insurer, our job is to manipulate value day in, day out. That's what we do. We quantify risk. We receive money from our insurers. We then have to deposit this money somewhere else. So, moving money is what we do. So mastering this technology and being able to use it is critical to the way we work and to our job, basically. For us, being involved in the blockchain world is critical. Now, how do you become a corporate baker? Is that your question? Or
yeah, sure. Dive into that. That's
sure.
Super interesting.
So then, how do you get into being involved with a public blockchain? So first of all, you have to do a lot of education. Our company is a regulated entity, and we need to talk with a lot of different people about what it means to be a baker, what are our responsibilities, and even for trivial things. Like, for example, say you're a baker, that's fine. If your baking system fails, you lose a bit of money, but it's your money. What happens if people delegate money to you? Are you responsible for that? Do we have a responsibility? And this seems like a trivial question, but you need people to answer them. Or you don't really need people to answer them, but you need people being comfortable with the fact that there are no answers really, and it's just an experimentation. So, I mean, you have to have the culture of being willing to take a bit of risks sometime and do stuff that you're not exactly sure how they work, and maybe it's a bit off limit, but not too much. And so it's what really helped is that this project was pushed from the top of the company, basically from our CEO, who's at the Tezos Foundation. And so once you have the will in the executives, then things move forward quite easily. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of processes and steps involved, and maybe could you outline if you all have an intention to, perhaps not today, but later on, participate within governance?
Sure. So I mean, this whole project has been incremental. So the first step that we had to secure was like, how do you secure money? How do you secure a seed in a corporate environment? And we had to involve our CTO, our CFO, our CEO, make sure that we designed a proper ceremony to generate the seed and then secure it. And that was a bit of a journey. The next journey is this one. And it's funny that we should talk about it today, because we were discussing about it like a few days before with all of these people. Basically, we now have the opportunity to vote on the governance of a public blockchain. What does that mean as legal responsibility? So we have our chief policy officer, so the person in charge of relation with regulators who's involved. Then we obviously will need some kind of technical analysis, and we need to set up a committee that will review the amendments to make sure that we agree or not with them or choose the best one. So it's very much an ongoing process. So we want to get involved, but we want to do it right. So the easiest way today would be either not to vote or to always vote yes. And we're not entirely confident with always voting yes, but we're not entirely comfortable either with not participating. So we basically have to move, and it will be an interesting thing to see how it happens.
Another option potentially for now would be to vote pass. But let's have a very small break here to announce. I just like to go ahead and announce the keyword for the Tezos brand ledger and NFTs giveaway, and that's !Wakam. So be sure to put that in the chat to participate. All right.
Can I participate?
Sorry. Where can he participate?
No, but yeah, so basically, yeah, you're right. We could vote pass, but even voting pass is, I mean, right now inaction is the easiest course of action, but it's not satisfactory. So we need to. I think we need to get more involved into this and to make actual decision. I would also add that there's this non-trivial thing, which is that we need people to actually vote, so physically hold the ledger device to enact a vote, because we bake with a ledger and NOS. And so this is also non-trivial, because we need to get the proper people at the proper time in the proper room. Most people are still working remote. Summer is coming, and all the people involved who have the power to actually engage with the device are CFO and CTO, so their time is scarce. So we are also in the process of thinking like, oh, okay, so maybe we should have another process to actually vote. Maybe we should secure the key differently. but then it's we come back to the same problem that securing a key in a corporate setting is not trivial.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been running a baker myself on a personal level, right? And I sure know that specifically if you're running on bare metal and not in the cloud, engaging with the ledger really requires you to be physically there. So you can imagine that in the corporate setting, that certainly is a challenge as well.
Yeah, and also, I mean, dealing with a physical device in the office is a bit of a weird situation, right? Because it's not something you're very much used to. You would think that as a corporate baker, we have everything in the cloud, we have an HSM and stuff like that. It actually turns out that HSMs are very expensive. And so if you secure less than, I think, if I remember correctly, an HSM would have costed us about the same amount as the roll that we needed to bake. And it didn't seem to make sense. So we were a bit stuck in between. Okay, so we either bake with a home setup, so a machine and a ledger device, or we invest a lot more money. This was a difficult choice. Was something that was harder to sell. So in order to start small, we started with a home device, and then we were faced with situations that the CFO mentioned that these situations he was used to them, but he was used to them 30 years ago when he used to manage cash and checks at the office. And so we basically use his experience on how to secure the moving of cash in our company in order to be able to bake. So yeah, you have to physically interact with it. You have to make sure it's up always. So we do have a rack. So we do have a rack in our office. So we are fairly certain that the cat will not trip over the wire, which can be an issue if you're baking from home. But we still need to get the right people at the right place, and it's not always easy.
Awesome to hear that you're running the baker locally in the office rather than the cloud. But yeah, definitely that's the consideration of running a baker in the cloud versus locally. That's certainly an interesting discussion either way. Thinking about this balance between convenience or like actual decentralization of running it locally. I think we do have a question. Will, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think essentially what one of the audience members is asking revolves around just that. I guess key control and custody. Superboy asked, you set up a ceremony for creating the seed phrase, but what about paying using Tez? I mean, do the CFO, CEO, and CTO need to be always present when signing a transaction?
So what we did basically is that when we set up the ledger, so we bake on an NOS, right? So we got 3 people in the room, but we got them involved in different operations. The CFO and the CEO generated the seed, and the CFO and the CTO generated the PIN code. So the CTO and the CFO have the ability to move funds together, and the CEO and the CFO have the ability to recreate the seed if they were to remember the words that they created. And then when they created their half of the words of the seed phrase, we split them and put them in different safes in different places. So the objective was to basically involve different people in the 2 processes. And today, if we want to pay with Tez, yes, we need to get them in the same room. The issue we have now is actually just around that. Like, to be able to pay using Tez, we need to pay the people who delegated to us. And asking for time from the CFO and the CTO every time we need to pay baking rewards is not doable. So what we're going to do is that we are going to create a specific account, which will be basically a hot wallet, and we're going to pay rewards from there, so that it can be an automated process, and we don't have to ask them every time we need to pay people, we pay our delegates. That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, that makes sense. I assume you could even develop a script for that as well to
You
further
don't have
automate
to.
it.
There's one that already does it. It's called Tezos Reward Distributors. It works pretty well.
Yeah, there are definitely several solutions out there for anyone who's looking into setting up a baker and running automated payouts. Tezos community has been building good stuff out there. All right, Henri, let's dive a little deeper into Wacom and its actual products. Do you want to introduce us a bit more into the product stack you've got over at Wacom?
So you mean the kind of insurance product we sell?
Yes.
Sure. So we mostly do non-health insurance. So we will insure your house, your cat, your car. We insure I don't know how to say it in English, le trottinette. So you know the e-scooters that you can rent.
Yep.
So we insure all kind of stuff. We also insure event cancellation. We insure people who sell stuff online and want to offer payment facility, and so we insure them against default from the payer. So this is the kind of product we do. In the products that we sell, some of them are, so we're kind of an old company. The company was created in 1829. We're like 192 years old. Yes. Initially, we were selling insurance for horse buggy and for the windows of horse buggy when they would get broken. And so we have some partners that are still having difficulties with using modern technology. So we still get from some of our partners huge CSV files and XML files that detail every insurance product they sold, and then we exchange information with them. But that's not exactly the part I work on. I work on the part where we decided to set up a system that is fully usable using APIs. So basically, we set up a platform where you, as let's say you're selling e-scooters and you want to offer an insurance product to your consumers, but you're not an insurer, so you don't know how to do it and you're not allowed to do it. Well, then you can go on our platform, create an account, and every time a customer buys an e-scooter, you will automatically call our API, and then you will get insured, and you'll be able to do a bit more money by selling an insurance product, and your customer will be a bit more happy because he will have less risks of losing his bike or getting stolen, basically. And this platform that is fully automated lets you basically buy a product, declare a claim, and manage it. And all the backend of that product, which is called iPaaS, so Insurance Product as a Service, all of the backend runs on a blockchain, so that it's easy to share data with partners who so wish, and that we are able to enforce some basic rules in the operating of that product. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about the insurance product or the technological product, so I answered both.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, maybe you can talk a bit more and kind of detail how some of those insurance products tie together, and where Tezos fits or potentially could fit within that mold.
Sure. I mean, as I mentioned, our business is basically moving value around. So, I mean, Tezos could fit anywhere where we need to exchange value. So today, for example, when we, there's this thing that everyone is running after, which is parametric insurance. Lose your flight, you get insured, and you get money immediately, so you can go to the hotel, a restaurant, anything. And one of the key aspects of this, which is non-trivial, is that it's actually hard to send money from us to a customer quickly. It's not that we're not able it's not that we're not able to detect that the plane was late. It's that it's hard to move money from our company to the person, to the insurer, quickly. And you could do it with TransferWise, you could do it with PayPal, but it's not really efficient. It's quite expensive. So for us, being able to pay through a public blockchain network that settles in a few minutes is gold. It's definitely something that would be that we're exploring, at least as that we're exploring, and that we'd like to offer eventually in the future. The two main things that are missing for these are, first, well, there's not much penetration for public blockchains in the consumer space, so not many people have crypto wallets. And the second one is that we still don't have a euro stablecoin, and we need to pay our insurers are insured in euros, so we need to pay them in euros. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I have another question for you, but
Sure.
before I ask that, we actually have a question from the audience. I believe Rasa77 asked, will Wakam now accept Tez as a payment method?
It's not something we're working currently today, and I think the thing is, we don't face the end users really. The
Right.
partners get paid by the users, and then the partners pay us. So, and the partner usually they're not the most. I think it's easier for people to move forward and implement new things than it is for a lot of legacy business. So unfortunately, receiving payments in Tez is not something that we've been asked to do as of today. Regarding being paid in Tez, there would be some questions. There would be quite a few questions. The first obvious one would be like, if you receive money in Tez for an insurance product, do you convert it back to euros, or do you keep it in Tez? And that sounds trivial, but for an insurance company, it's very critical, because basically we insure a risk that is quoted in euros, and so we have to have a set of underlying assets that make us able to pay on some claims. And so if the underlying varies a lot, then our control authority can come at us and say, hey, you need to figure out a way to have a bit more stability in the asset you use. So it's and it works both way, by the way. If the price appreciates a lot, that's great, but then you still need to have this discussion. So capital management at an insurance company is non-trivial. So I mean, accepting Tez as payment is a thing. Having Tez as part of our asset is another one. It's a very interesting topic too. I think you had a question. Please ask it.
Sure. No, what you just said makes sense. Trying to deter from slippage and things of that nature. But kind of going back to what you were discussing earlier, it's definitely nice to see, the evolution and clear jump that you all are making towards blockchain. And, also maybe you have more thoughts on this, the ways all these different technologies are affecting us in today's setting.
I think, I don't know. I think blockchain technologies are often looked as a technological breakthrough, but it's really a social thing, and it's going to be a social revolution. at some point. Not a revolution, but it's going to be something that affects deeply how we connect with each other and how we behave and the fabric of society. So, but I think that's the case, but I would find it very hard to predict. One thing I'm a bit more comfortable predicting is that, as I mentioned, in blockchain is natural to the insurance business, but we very often forget. We very often focus on that aspect. So we focus on what can the blockchain do for insurance business, and we rarely hear the other side of the coin, which is what kind the insurance business do for the crypto world. The crypto economy has been growing for the past 10 years, and especially lately it has been growing considerably. And there are a lot of people who were talking earlier about this project that got that crashed, and a lot of people losing money. And I think that there is inherent risks in all of these systems, and assessing risk and covering it is our business. And this is something we should focus on as insurers. I think we should work on how we can assess risk, offer covers on it, and instead of wondering what can the blockchain do for insurance, we should ask what can insurers do for the blockchain ecosystem. And especially on Tezos, I don't think there's any insurance product on Tezos. But there is usage, there is users, and there's probably people who would like to cover themselves in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. It seems pretty easy to just slap blockchain onto something as a type of buzzword, right? But finding meaningful applications and usage is clearly a bit more difficult.
Yeah. Circling back to, you were talking about missing components. I was just wondering, I believe there's this stablecoin project coming out of Paris called Luke, which is essentially fully backed and compliant Euro stablecoin. Have you looked into that, or are you considering?
We've discussed with Luke how we could use and partner with them. The issue they have today is that they're very regulated, and currently you can only trade them at one avenue, and you can't really trade them yourself as a user. You can trade them through one platform. So, yeah, for us, it's not possible to integrate them now. We might be able to do it in the future, but unfortunately, as of today, it's not possible.
Got it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are looking forward to Euro stablecoin on Tezos. That's accessible, for everyone. I myself certainly am looking forward to that.
In France, there's this. If you sell crypto, you need to pay value-added tax on all the benefits you make, but you're not selling crypto to crypto is not a taxable event, right? So if you sell from BTC to ETH or Tez, it's not a taxable event. And technically, stablecoins are not fiat. So if you sell from Tez to USDT, this is not a taxable event. So there are a lot of people in France waiting for a Euro stablecoin so that they can sell back to euros instead of selling back to dollars, in order to be able to not realize gains and be able to optimize their taxation. And I think it's really sad that we don't have a Euro stablecoin yet. I think it's definitely a governance mistake not to have anything today, because today 99.5% of the volume of stablecoins on public blockchain is in US dollars, and I think this is I don't think this is good for the future of the euro not to be involved in this. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much a question of when something like this is going to come.
I don't
I
know. When
think
you look at the BCs, the Central Bank of Europe, when they talk about stablecoin, they don't seem very willing to encourage the emergence of a market, just have what is happening in the US. They more seem willing to just impede stablecoins from emerging that are not theirs. So hopefully they'll get their stablecoin out soon. Hopefully.
Yeah,
I feel
think
that there's certainly a lot of experimentation behind the curtains. Like looking outside of Europe, there's stablecoin experimentation all around the world. So I feel like the European Union is certainly trying to keep up to speed there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, sorry, I cut you off. You wanted to go ahead.
no, I was going to add. I think it's definitely a really good time for this too. Now with the looming threat of inflation and everything that we're kind of seeing happening currently.
Exactly.
But it looks like we do have a winner for the Tezos branded Ledger Nano S, and I think the winner is Rasa77. So congrats on
Congrats,
winning
Rasa.
that. Yep. Go ahead and send us an email with your credentials to social@tezoscommons.org, and we will get you the code for your Ledger Nano S. Congrats again.
Congrats. All right, Henri. To wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about Tezos in general. Like apart from insurance, there's so much going on the network. Recently, NFTs have become hugely popular. DeFi has pretty much started to boom. There's more and more prestigious names adopting Tezos or like partnering with the Tezos Foundation. Perhaps you want to share a little bit what you are personally excited about.
I really like, it's a specific website that I really like, Iketnong. I think their website is really, I think it's still missing a few pieces. What's really interesting is that they've distinguished from other art marketplace to being an art gallery, in the sense that you can buy art, but there's, at least last time I checked, there wasn't yet a secondary market. But the look and feel of the interface makes it really nice. I think it looks very professional. It looks clean, and that's I think that's a nice way to push the art scene, and not just as a mercantile product, but as something that has high quality.
Yeah, and speaking on Hick at Nuck, it's also pretty amazing that that platform was entirely grassroots, and it's gone on to do the numbers that it's been posting today. And I believe it's actually, maybe if this is right or wrong, Oliver, but I believe it's actually the largest NFT marketplace in the entire space.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That just happened. Yeah.
And it's been maybe 3 to 4 months, so that's quite impressive.
Exactly.
And I'm really looking forward to the emergence of DeFi on Tezos. I haven't seen much yet,
Absolutely.
so I'm really curious to see how things play out. I'm I'm excited to see, basically a way to trade faster on Tezos. That would be great.
Yeah, I think NFTs specifically, with gaming and also augmented reality is definitely the next step towards seeing how these can evolve and go beyond, what we're currently seeing.
There's so much you can do with NFTs. Gaming. What's really interesting with NFTs is that, it's not that it's as big as money, but it's difficult to compare both. But it's huge. You can do so much stuff with NFTs that you can't do with money, with just plain money. And there are so many use cases. What's really interesting is that, like, for example, say you buy a car. Obviously, you can put the record of your car on an NFT, right? And it seems like something that's quite easy, but no big company or no state is going to implement that first. What's really interesting with NFT is that it has emerged from communities that were underserved. basically.
Right.
There's no alternative to securing your art and the rights to your art. There's no alternative to selling it than NFTs for digital art. And I think digital art is already like there's a lot more digital art that is being produced than there is physical art that is being produced. So it's really interesting to see that vertical rising because they were underserved, but potentially it applies to so much more stuff. It applies to, titles of properties. It applies to concert tickets. It applies to ownership or community. Yeah, I don't know how it is in France or Kentucky, but here we have a lot of high schooler who have on their backpacks, just a tag of the band that they like. You can do these kind of things with NFTs, but for your avatar or for your profile online. So there are so much things to explore. I'm really curious what can be done with that, and how things are going to evolve in that aspect.
Those are some amazing last words. I completely share that view of yours. And there's so much to be excited about in the pipeline. Everybody keep up to speed on what's happening on Tezos. There's just so much. Be sure to follow Wakam on Twitter. That's, I believe, hello_Wakam. Follow Tezos Comments on Twitter. And all our previous streams are available for you to watch. Check out, there's some amazing content there. Henri, thank you so much for being here and sharing insight. It was great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining, Henry.